Moving abroad to France was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And although moving to another country is rewarding in so many ways, I'm the first to admit it has not been easy. Anyone who tells you that life abroad is exciting and glamorous all the time is not living in reality and is either lying or hasn't been abroad long enough. And what makes me say that? Well, it's because life abroad is still life. I can't stress that enough. And no one's life is exciting and glamorous 24/7. And moving abroad comes with its own set of challenges. As you'd expect, with such a major life change, it's only normal to doubt yourself here and there and your plans before moving to another country, and probably a bit after you get here as well. What I want to talk about today is what to remember when you feel that doubt starting to creep in. All right, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome back to We in France. I'm Diane. Here on this channel, I do fun and snappy videos on cultural differences, language learning, behind the scenes content at bakeries, pharmacies, and that sort of thing. But I also like to switch it up and put out content like this, maybe more thoughtful content, a little deeper, real talk on life abroad. And I think it's really important to talk about this stuff as well. I want to get right into it. Truth be told, since the pandemic started, I've received more doubt-ridden emails from readers like you out there more than ever. And many of you were doubting your decision to move abroad to France or just moving abroad in general. And that's what I want to talk about. So first, doubt is about feeling uncertain. We're unsure of that right path forward. We want to know with certainty that the choice we're making is the right one. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way in life. You either jump in and you find out, or you live with regret and you always wonder, what if? Doubt is rooted in fear above all. We fear that unknown. We fear what others think and all the emotions that come with those things. And maybe we're indecisive in one certain area due to a lack of life experience, job experience, a marriage, a big move, right? You've never done it. So how can you know if it's uncharted territory? How can we be sure of ourselves? We fear we might not have the skills, the patience, or whatever it is to cope with whatever our new life has in store. We fear we're not making that right choice or that we won't cut it, right? But going through life means we'll gain that confidence as we go through life. And the only way to do that is to have these experiences. Now, doubt is also part of being human. Our brain is trying to protect us from that struggle and stay where it's comfortable, stay where it's easy. That's what our subconscious is trying to do. And I feel like, at least for me, doubt can really take over when reality doesn't match up with our expectations. So for example, let's take adapting to a new work environment. We might think we'll move abroad to another country. We'll have a really easy time adapting to our new job in 2 weeks, right? After just a week or two, it'll become manageable. Maybe it won't be easy, but it won't be difficult. But instead, the reality is so much harder. We find ourselves isolated in the office, unable to speak the local language, not knowing anyone, working late, and feeling lost even after maybe 6 months. It's a mismatch between what we expected and the current reality. And yeah, this expectation versus reality thing can apply to anything, both home and abroad, but maybe abroad it's apartment issues, it's learning the language, whatever. And regardless, the next step is the same. Our mind then goes into overdrive. We doubt that this job is right for us. Then we doubt whether moving abroad was the right choice, and we kind of mentally spiral, right? And I feel like this can also happen if we have very romanticized ideas about what life abroad is like. Life abroad is normal life after a while, and we wonder if we're doing something wrong if it's not a big, exciting adventure like we see on Instagram 24/7. Other people seem to have it all. More money, a better apartment, crazy vacation. So what about us if we're just living our life normally? Are we doing the living abroad thing wrong? And let me jump in here with a quick message from the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. That's Better, H-E-L-P. If you've been dealing with a lot lately, you're not alone. And if you're like me, maybe you've been struggling with grief, or maybe it's relationship issues, stress, anxiety, or just life in general, and you could use some support. Well, BetterHelp is online therapy, and they have a network of over 20,000 licensed therapists who are trained to listen, and you'll get access to therapists that may not be available in your area. Now, online therapy lets you talk to your therapist in a private online environment at your convenience via chat, messaging, a phone call, or video chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. And you can exchange unlimited messages, and everything you share is completely confidential. Therapists are US based and they speak English, but you don't have to be in the US to use the service, making it great if you live abroad as well. Now, all you have to do to get started is fill out a quick questionnaire. It looks like this. to help you assess your specific needs and preferences, and then you'll get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours, and in my case, it took about 5. My therapist's name is Jana, and by the time you see this, we'll have been working together for about a month. Now keep in mind that if you're paired with someone who is not a good fit for whatever reason, you can request a new therapist at no additional charge anytime. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced BetterHelp therapist. You can get 10% off your first month at this link, which is linked below. Get more info, click on that, and again, that's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. Back to the video. Now, something I want to stress is that doubting your decision to move abroad doesn't automatically mean it was the wrong choice. I'd even venture to say it's more normal to have doubts about such a major life change than to not. And only you know the answer to what's right for your life. And I think it takes time to rationally think through all of that, doubts, and also things you're confident in and just everything, And if you know in your heart of hearts that moving to another country is the right choice for you, our mind likes to make us second guess ourselves. When you're having doubts about moving abroad, all it means is you're making a big life change and you need time to process everything that comes with that. You need to give yourself time to go through the experience for all its ups and downs, and then when you get to the country, you need even more time to adjust. When all's said and done, maybe you'll end up abroad for life. Maybe you're there for just a year or two, or maybe, not at all. They're all okay. We're allowed to make choices for ourselves that make sense at the current moment and then reassess as time goes on. And I think seeing others move on with their lives back home without us, it can also create doubt too. And we wonder about what our life would be like if we'd stayed put at home. It's one of the major cons of living abroad. It's something I struggle with. And while I rationally know I can't be everywhere at once, my mind wanders to the path I didn't choose. We see loved ones move up in their career, start a family that we won't get to see much in person, and we see them experiencing life in a place that we no longer know. Yeah, and we doubt ourselves the most when something hard happens, maybe a death or a health struggle or just something else that's hard in life regardless of where you live. But remember, we all struggle in our own way at some point or another. Some of us are more vocal about that, but we're all human, right? And I want to stress again that it's only normal to have doubts when you're about to make a life change as big as moving to another country, And I feel the past year, maybe even 2, the whole pandemic time frame, it's unearthed a lot of buried doubt in us, in so many of us, and made us question so much about our direction in life, our relationships, our jobs, what we want. And I feel like when we're stressed, that thought of voluntarily adding more stress to the pot is going to make us take pause and reflect. So whether you moved abroad during the pandemic, or you're thinking about it, or you're going to move to another country, I just want to stress, here are some things to remember when that doubt starts messing with your head. Number 1, remove the word should from your vocabulary. I hate this one. You should have this many friends by now. You should be speaking the language at this level. You should have been promoted already. You should have stayed home. You should come visit. You shouldn't care so much about this or that, blah, blah, blah. You should be strong. I could go on all day. Should, it's a word that makes you feel like you just aren't measuring up to some pointless measuring stick that doesn't even exist, right? These societal norms mess with our heads, and it just leads us down this slippery slope that has nothing but more self-doubt at the bottom. I've been there, and it's a place where you go to beat yourself up, play that comparison game, and wonder where the heck your life went wrong. Just, if I could give any advice, avoid it at all costs. Don't even let your thoughts go there. Replace them with other thoughts. Train your brain not to use the word should, and I'm serious about this, Measure yourself against yourself. It doesn't matter if other people seemingly have better career, better behaved kids, more money, travel more, speak the language better. We're all on our own path and we go at our own pace, right? All right, number 2, remember, it's all about the experience. And the best way to find out what you want in life is to try different things. Find out what you don't want. Experience people, places, and things. And if you don't care for a particular place or a way of life, well, then at least you have the experience under your belt. You've learned something about yourself and the world. Life is a collection of experiments where we constantly learn about ourselves. So maybe we didn't succeed at what we set out to do, or it didn't go the way we had planned, but you know what? We learned something and we can move on with that knowledge. And if we've learned, we haven't failed. So never look at anything you do abroad as a failure. Please hear me when I tell you that. Okay, number 3, give it time. The first day of school is always scary. Remember yourself at 5 years old. You walked into that kindergarten class full of kids you didn't know. It's a lot. And with time, you found your way, you're still here. And I feel like moving abroad can kind of feel like that. You know, you feel like that little kid on his first day of class, unsure of himself and his new situation that he's found himself in. Everything takes time, and we don't adjust in a matter of days or even a matter of months, maybe years in some respects. So give yourself some time to settle in, let that roller coaster of emotions kind of come to a stop. Don't take any of your doubts seriously until you've given yourself some time to process everything. And you know, if you're still feeling that doubt, try to ask yourself, is it coming from one area? Maybe you feel unsettled because you don't speak the language well yet, for example, you know, or you're unsettled because you live alone and you haven't met any friends yet. Or is that doubt not really specific to one thing? Is it all consuming? Is it always present no matter what? And have you felt like that for a month? 6 months, a year, 2 years? Have your circumstances changed? And does it feel like it's more than just doubt and maybe instead an indicator of a bad life decision? I don't know. You have to decide that for yourself. If moving abroad itself is giving you doubt, or just one aspect of life that you haven't really been able to wrap your mind around yet. You know, see how you feel in a couple of weeks. And I feel like for me, at least, time has a funny way of getting things under control. All right, number 4, let yourself feel. Moving abroad, like I said, is a roller coaster of emotions, and it's okay to let those feelings come out. Try to come to terms with them. And for me, one of the worst things I can do when I'm feeling very emotional about something is to pretend my feelings don't exist and whoop, sweep them under the rug. You know, that's a surefire recipe for having them come back like 10 times stronger, leading to like a total meltdown. What I do is I find someone who I can trust who will listen and just kind of help me process what I'm going through. Maybe it's as simple too for some of you as writing it in a journal. Sometimes it's hard to talk to actual people from home about any struggles because they don't get it and they could be dismissive even if they don't mean to. So journal, or even just talk it out to yourself at home when you're alone. You're not crazy if you vocalize how you're feeling to your dog or to an empty house. You'll feel lighter afterwards. And the worst, the most dismissive thing, I made a whole video on this, is when people say, but you live in France, how bad can it be? Oh, if you don't like it, go home. You know, in response to any issue you're having, as if living in France is a magical cure-all for all of life's ills. And if you're having any problem at all, you're not cutting it. Well, newsflash, it's not like that. Life in France is not a 24/7 vacation, and people here, the French included, can have a hard time just like anywhere else. So it's validating to be heard. Don't let anyone make you feel like your feelings aren't valid, no matter where you live. And like I said, journaling helps. Sometimes just the act of verbally expressing something, like I said, to an empty house is enough to get the feelings out of my physical body, just get it out into the ether, outside of myself. And just that, just the act of verbalizing something or writing it can feel like that weight has been lifted off of you. And just remember that you're not alone in whatever you're going through. Next up, we have number 5. The grass is not always greener. There are pros and cons to life everywhere. I made a video on that too. Nowhere's perfect. Life will never be perfect, you know? So try not to frame life back home as being better or worse. It's different. Maybe it's better for you in your head, or it was better for you in the past. But I think it's so easy to see home with these rose-colored glasses because it's where you go on vacation now. It's where you see people you love through their highlight reel. You know, when you visit, your days are so fun and exciting, and it's so easy to compare life at home to what it feels like when we used to live there versus when we visit, or even what our life is now. And maybe you even feel some degree of guilt for leaving people who seemingly need you. And sometimes the timing's not great. But you know what? If we moved back, we know life wouldn't be perfect. In our heart of hearts, we know that, you know? And ask yourself, what do you need out of life right now? I feel like no matter where we live, it's so easy to think the grass is greener elsewhere, especially when we're going through a rough patch. But remember, it's not. Stay the course. And I've always said the grass is greener where we water it, and that is the God honest truth. So if you made it this far, I hope something I said here spoke to you and either validated the way you've been feeling, maybe brought up something new to consider. And I know this isn't one of my fun cultural differences videos, but I think it's just as important to make videos that have conversations like this. So again, thank you for watching. And if you're considering a move to France, maybe you're already here, you're having doubts, hang in there, things get better. I promise you that. If you've been through this whole moving abroad thing to another country, what has helped you when you're doubting yourself and your choices? Because I know this affects more than just me, and it's something that we need to talk about. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. Have a look at my links below, all kinds of fun stuff, including a newsletter, an e-guide, a free PDF when you sign up for my newsletter about do's and don'ts in France. So check that out, and I'll see you right back here on We in France soon. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd like to remind you to just hit it there, hit that like button too, and I'll see you next time. Salut!